Why, hello there, and welcome to the stream. Look at that. I streamed yesterday for a few hours, and all day long I worked on the game, worked on the project, and I did not change the screen size. I've got this ultra wide. There's probably, I don't know, about here to the right, extra space to the right of my Unity window, which has been super helpful because I don't actually need the whole space, but I can more easily go back and forth between writer. I've never gotten used to, you know, tabbing through to go to writer and whatnot, right? And it's easy. So I should get used to that, but You've never had more than a single sip? Not even two single sips? I have coffee. I'll tell you what, though. I never really drank coffee until the pandemic started. I had tried to drink coffee. I think I've told the story before, but I tried to drink coffee, I don't know, 5 years ago, 6 years ago, 7 years ago, something like that. It was New Year's. It was a New Year's resolution because, all these articles coming out saying drinking coffee is good for you or whatever. And so I tried to drink coffee. I went to a Starbucks on New Year's Eve to do what was then my annual tradition of going to see a movie by myself over New Year's Eve because I don't like going out on New Year's Eve and like to paid places, and my friends all had like kids and stuff, so their parties sucked. Or really were non-existent, or were like only kids invited type of things, and they all go to bed at 9. But I got norovirus. That's the end of the story. I got norovirus the same night that I had coffee for the first time, then had a bunch of popcorn, and also had some vodka and stuff that I sneaked into the theater. So I stopped drinking coffee. It was completely unrelated to the... I got norovirus that night, so I had obviously gotten sick before that, or caught it before that, but either way, the pandemic started, and now I drink coffee in the morning. It also helps me from eating too much breakfast, or any breakfast. Allergic to iodine. Okay. Interesting. That means if there's a nuclear fallout, you're going to be the first one to die. You can't take your iodine pills. That's too bad. Hopefully there won't be any nuclear fallout. I think that's the takeaway. All right, so let's get to this game, because yesterday I was working on magic, and it was great, and it is great. And then I was thinking, okay, well, I wanted to get the arrow shooting working the same way as the magic, because, I've got these test particles, or really, create new UID. I got these test objects. These are using the item attribute just to keep track of all this data. Essentially, each one of these is going to be a thing. And let's see. I got to the point where this is somewhat confusing. So I got my spell, Magic Missile. We have the mastery levels, which is the actual spells that will happen. And each one of these has the data about that. So it's got the spell prefab, that's the thing in the world that comes out. Portrait particle, the thing that goes on the portraits, if it's a portrait particle. Target particle, if it's going to be targeted in the world. Party particle, true if it affects all of the party, and the particle prefab for that. Opposed to the portrait one. The cost, the range, and the most important thing, well, I mean, everything's important. All of this stuff is important, but the condition. So condition is, I'm using the condition module from the game modules bundle to... oh, wow, you are doomed in the apocalypse. Yeah, Christopher, wouldn't you be upset to find out that no, not all of us are temporary? Just some of us, and the rest aren't? That would be really messed up, right? Like, if you get to the end and then you're like, oh, wait, we don't all die? Like, only like 90% of us die, but 10% just live forever? or longer. That's messed up. Anyways, yeah, so I'm using the condition system to pass damage along. And so the fire arrow will affect the hit points. It'll do 1 to 2 damage to your hit points, and then 1 to 2 more per point of your fire magic stat when you cast it. So that's how I'm passing damage along in these. I haven't done that part. That should be simple enough. But yeah, so I've got this fire arrow. I had the arrow system, arrow shoot. That's great. They were doing the damage a different way, and I'm going to change that. They're now going to use the arrow system. So same deal. I'm going to be instant effects on points. It's going to affect hit points. And you know, I'm going to put in 1 to 2 right now, but this is actually going to change. Essentially for the arrow, since this is going to be based on, let's see. Yeah, this is going to be based on the damage that another stat, essentially, that's kind of outside of this. And so I'm going to just compute it differently. Essentially, I'm going to change these values when I create the object. And then yeah. Whereas the spells like this will be different. Spells are spells, and they can just be built completely in this. Oh yeah, and I have to remember to make it negative points. Otherwise, we'd be healing. We don't want to heal when we throw an arrow. I mean, a healing arrow would be pretty neat too. There we go. Should make a negative button to make it negative. That'd be neat, because I make that mistake a lot. Anyways, so I was thinking about this, and I was thinking, man, how am I going to convert this? Because I got in my code, I got my arrow system, and that's great. And I've got my shoot method, and the shoot method, you know, before it would just use this shoot method from the actions, essentially. Oh, you want to shoot? Well, you're going to shoot this enemy. And I had put in this use spell on deck, but I don't think I actually really had used it. But essentially, we're just going to shoot the enemy, and it just gets the target, gets the thing, does the damage, all that in one go. Very simple. It worked. But now I want to make this using the cast, and I was thinking, well, I've got the fire arrow. Fire arrow is definitely a magic spell. And if the fire arrow uses the arrow system, which is different than just a particle being shot forward or on some random path or something like that, well, the arrow is essentially a magic spell too. The player doesn't need to know that they're essentially casting a 0-cost magic spell when they shoot an arrow with their bow. But the code is the exact same for a fire arrow as it would be for a regular arrow if the regular arrow uses the same system. So I decided to try to do the fire arrow first. And then it was late at night, and I decided to go to bed. So that's where I left off last night. And so that's where I want to start off this morning with this. We've got the cast spell at point. So this is where, either you've clicked on a bad guy, or right here, cast spell on enemy, or you've clicked on the world, and we're going to try to cast a spell at that point. So I think what I need to do is, okay, I've got this right here. So I've got this separated out is arrow, and not is arrow. I think I need to kind of make a new method for arrow. So if it's an arrow, just shoot it into a new cast spell at point, cast arrow at point, something like that. So I'm going to start by doing that just to separate this out and keep it a little bit clean. Private, what are we going to do? We're going to return the arrow, because I'm going to need to potentially change the details. So I'm going to return the game object that I spawn, cast arrow at target, or at point rather. And what do I need for point? Probably a whole bunch of this stuff. So I'm going to start with this stuff and we'll modify it from there. Let me make this a little wider. Let's see. You can all see. Yes, you can all see. All right. Let me know if that's not big enough. I think it is, but let me know if it's not. Anyways, so this is the bit right here. So we're going to say, first of all, it's going to check for the spell prefab. If there's no spell prefab, we can't do anything. So it's going to return. This is just going to be for all of the stuff. And so here we're going to say if it's an arrow, then we're going to, instead of doing this, we're going to end up returning. And we're going to do cast arrow at point. Why is it all the way over here? Cast arrow at point, and we're going to pass in our position, our target position, our solo target player, and our is projectile. I don't think this is sufficient or everything or exactly what we need. So instead I'm going to copy this over into here. Okay, so we need the in-world spell object as well. So we'll pass that in as well. And what is our in-world spell object? It's a game object. Okay. So game object, in-world spell object. What else is red? Nothing? Nothing. Okay. We're going to have to return the thing, so that's still... do we need this is projectile? I don't think we do. We do here, but... See, we know that these are all arrows, so it doesn't matter if it is a projectile. So that line of code down here does not matter. We might need to change that entirely. Do we need the solo target player? Let's see. No. So the way arrows work is they're not... Well, again, I'm going to say no now, but the reality is I might end up having an arrow that does follow a target around. That seems like a cool idea. So we still need that. It might be null, though. And therefore, this has to be in front of it. So we'll move that there. Whoops. We'll move that there. And up here, we will move that around as well. So we're going to get rid of this chunk as well. All right. So if we're doing an arrow, instead we do this. We're going to do in. This goes here. Nope. We don't need a projectile. It goes here. There we go. And we also need to copy this cleanup stuff at the bottom so I don't forget. Okay, and that should be that. Let's go through the code now and see what we actually have. All right, so we have a target radius. We're going to borrow heavily from the shoot method for this one, which is, where is it? Which is right here. Yeah, that's this method. I mean, realistically, I could probably change this one. Actually, maybe I should just do that. It probably would be easier to pass in key details. Let me think. So the arrow system uses stats like accuracy and players or target speed and other such things. So let's see. Shoot. So in this one, we're trying to get the actor target. If we don't, then we can't do anything. Okay, but technically we already have that by the time we get there. So that's why we have this target radius. We start with the target radius because we already have all that stuff. Okay. Okay. So cast arrow at point. Here we are. All right. So the target radius is the arrow system target size, the spell on deck's range, and I think we need to add a new thing. Instead of just range, we need to add speed as well. Range is meant for spells that have a range, where speed is used as the arrows. The range will be derived from speed for arrows, because the velocity or speed or whatever you want to call it, whatever the actual term is in physics, will determine the angle at which the arrow can be shot, and there's a max angle, of course, at which point the arrow can't go further, and that is what the range is. So range is not really applicable here, so we're going to say arrow speed. I think I need to also add a new thing to the dictionaries here with a little like reminder notes, internal notes, because there's a lot of stuff here that I am adding, and I realize that when I go into this list, I sometimes, wait a minute, oh, this is the wrong thing. I'm looking for my spells. I realize that I look at this list, I'm like, wait, what does everything mean again? And so yeah, so we're gonna say 20 for this. Range does not matter in this at all for the fire arrow. Yeah, and for the regular arrows, this is where it gets, I think regular arrow uses the bow has a range speed attached to it, so I do need to keep the regular shoot separate from the cast arrow at point, or I need to somehow pass in the right details, and I think I might just pass in the details here. Yeah. So all right, so what do we need? We need the range, and so we're gonna need that. So float arrow speed is what we'll call it, and we're gonna put the arrow speed here. Accuracy range, wait, let me just make sure I remember what accuracy range is. I do remember thinking accuracy range is not correct. So the max distance is accuracy range. Oh, yeah. So accuracy range is... Okay. Accuracy range, I'm going to make a note for myself here and there. Accuracy range is the max distance at which the player is least accurate. So they might be shooting from, let's say, 40 meters away, but the if the max distance or the accuracy range is set to 30 meters, then between 30 and 40 meters, that target circle that we see when where the arrow is going to land somewhere in that target circle, it's not going to get any bigger. That's the biggest it gets. So technically a better player or a better weapon or a better spell will have a smaller accuracy range, meaning the largest target circle is achieved the closer you are, and that means the further away there's no penalty for being extra far away. So in that regard, range does matter, so we'll use range for accuracy range there. I'll put that note there as well for myself because I always forget. So we will keep that. Min distance is 0. This is used for like if it's a regular arrow and they're within 3 meters or 2.5 meters or something, then they do a melee attack instead. And so that's subtracted from the maths and all that. Distance is the distance to the target. Minimum size of the target particle, maximum size of the target particle. I've hard coded these now, but I think I will end up. Yeah, let's make them a variable now. Float min size, float max. We're gonna say target size. Be a little bit more clear here, and we will put those here as well. Min target size and max target size. That way, certain magic arrow spells might have different things, or maybe the more proficient you are in the spell, the target size gets smaller, which means you're going to hit more often. The arrow system size curve will keep. That's just a standard. And then the target radius is divided by 2 because this actually gets the total target size. And the radius is half of that. All right. So that should be good for the target radius. And instead of passing this here, I'm going to pass that up here. Accuracy range. So we're going to copy that accuracy range. All right, and then let's go back and adjust this. Oh, come on, wrong thing. Okay, so we need to add a lot more here. What did I add? In-world spell object. Then we need arrow speed. So that's going to be spell on deck speed. And then accuracy range, we got that. And then after accuracy range, we have min target size. For now, I'm going to pass in 1 and 2F. I will change that later, I believe. All right, and then the solo target player could be null, but it shouldn't be null. But it could be null, but it shouldn't be null. Does that make sense? Maybe. All right. Next. So now we got the target radius. Arrow system shoot. We're going to have to... So that we're going to have to change the... Well, right now I have, let me rephrase that. Right now I have a little particle that hovers over the bad guys when you're targeting them with an arrow that shows you the radius. So you can see, you know, kind of your chances of hitting. So I haven't decided whether I'm going to keep that or not. I might keep it. I might not. I don't know if it's more fun to not know or to see. Probably more fun to see, so you can kind of play that game of figuring out, ooh, I'm not really going to hit it. Not going to even waste my arrow. But that means I'm going to have to update that system to take into account magic spells as well. But that's okay. We can do that later. All right, so now we're going to shoot the arrow using the arrow system. All right, so arrow system shoot. The position, the target position, and this is using the spawn point underneath the player portraits. Target position, the speed of shot. So this is where we're going to put an arrow speed. In-world spell object. We're going to be passing that along. I think, yeah, let me just see what we pass here. Just going to compare the two. We have our source position, target position, bow velocity from the active player. That's the speed. So we'll use the same term. Arrow velocity. Then in-world object. Okay. Prefab arrow. So those are the same thing. So a fire arrow versus the prefab arrow, which is currently hard-coded. So that's good. So I should pass in this rotation, not that. All right, that's good. Active player. So the damage is something that we will have to compute after. So instead of roll range damage, we're going to pass in 0. And then target radius. Target radius. Check can shoot. Yes. Okay. That should work then. And then we need to pass back the spawned thing. So we're going to update this, remove that, we don't need that, and we're going to say var spawned arrow equals, and then shoot is going to pass that back. So instead of bool, we're going to pass back a game object. We might need to update some stuff there. Return default for the, not debug, default. Hey, come on, default. So instead of false, we're going to return default, which will be null. And if we are true, then we're going to return the instantiated thing. Where's instantiate? Get random target position, angle, instantiate, new arrow, return new arrow. So new arrow, here it gets instantiated, it gets its stuff populated. This is going to have to be, yeah, so we I think I still need to do the arrow collision. Arrow collision dot shooter dot. Maybe we don't need that to get that. I'm not sure. We'll figure that out if there's issues. Oh yeah, because we were doing the set damage. I think we are. Yeah, we're not doing the damage that way anymore, so it's going to be changed completely. All the damage stuff is going to be changed completely. So even that 0 I put in earlier is going to be changed. All right, so shoot direction, and look at, get the curve, modify the curve because of maths that I couldn't figure out. New speed of shot, add the force, and return the arrow. And this is, once we return this arrow, that's where we get to, we'll call it new arrow, and now update the damage, etc. on the new arrow. All right, and let's also fix some bugs here. So this one's going to return a game object. I think we're returning new arrow either way. Right, where are we doing? Cast arrow at point. We might not actually need to return game object here, I guess, because we can do the setup here as well. But yeah, let's see. Are there any other errors? There should be another error somewhere because I'm returning a game object instead of a boolean. There we go. So let's let it reload. Maybe that's not an error after all. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you already haven't already. Oh, no errors. Okay. All right. So now on this prefab, so this is the new arrow we get back is a instantiation of this. We have our magic spell, and magic spell has on it. What does it have? It has the spell item attribute. Did we assign that? Let's see. Did we? Actions. Okay, cast arrow. So I don't think we actually assigned the. Yeah, we didn't. But if we look at our cast spell at point, how do we do that here? Magic spell setup. That's what we do. I had to remind myself. It's been a whole, like, what, 18 hours since I did this? And so I've forgotten. You could, but it would be an accident if you shoot their knee. The problem is you're not going to be accurate enough. Actually, since the arrow system is randomized, so it's not physical player dexterity. There's no player dexterity. It's all about your stats, and when you click that button and say shoot, it will randomize the position within a radius of the actual target, which is generally the center of the mass. But every once in a while, you hit them in the crotch, and I think, man, I might need to add an Easter egg that if something gets hit in the crotch, they might react differently with a slightly different got hit reaction. I think that would be pretty funny if the goblins getting hit in the crotch reacted differently. Or to your point, Jason, if you basically accidentally shot them in their knee, that they kind of like ow and hopped around a little bit, like in Family Guy or something. But Easter eggs, small things like that. That'll be fun to do, but that'll be later to do as well. It's not a requirement. And hi, Jason. How are you? I hope you're doing well. Do the setup of the magic spell component. So now we need to do that down here as well. Let's see. We got the... Yeah. And then that should set that up too. So we'll just copy both of these. And the comment, why the heck not? And then we'll also have to make sure we do the magic points. And we'll do that in a second too. We might need to make some modifications for that too. Oh, we already did that. Never mind. Haha. All right. So now we have the new arrow. So we're going to do that. Whoops. Hey. On new arrow. So new arrow. We'll do this. Var magic spell equals new arrow dot get component. Actually, we'll do it even better. Even better. If not, not try get component. New arrow dot try get component. Out magic spell. Then return default, and we'll put an error here. If it doesn't have a magic spell, that's an issue, so we are going to do a debug.log error. Hey you, new arrow.name is missing its magic spell component. That should never happen, but it probably will happen because at some point I will forget to add it, or something else will happen. Why is this conflicting? It's defined below. Oh, we already had this exact code. Similar. We're going to remove that code, but it had very, very similar code. Isn't it? It's very similar code, but not quite the same. All right, so magic spell setup. Should have set it up. So now instead of instantiating the spell here and doing all that and doing all this and doing all that, we will do it up there. Okay. Should have set up a spell. Magic spell dot name. Name. Yeah. Okay. So the magic spell needs the active player. Yeah. So whenever we cast an arrow at point, it's going to be coming from the active player. You know what? I think I should move this to the arrow system because there's always a chance that it won't be the active player who's shooting it, that maybe it's a bad guy who shoots it, and that needs to be set up there. And the bad guy will simply do this stuff and then pass in to the shoot. Well, let's figure out what we need to pass first. Spell on deck, item attribute. And the target. We already have... Okay. So I guess we do need to have this. Yeah. So okay, we need to pass in this and this, and it's going to be a player. I'm going to make sure this not null, because that just has to be the way. It is the way. All right, so on shoot, we're going to pass an item attribute and a player. Magic spell item attribute and player target player equals null and equals null. Are they not after? Oh, that's why I had a erroneous comma. All right. So this is where we'll do it, and we'll say if this is not null, then we'll add it here now that we've instantiated the new arrow. So add magic spell stuff. If spell is not equal to null, then we'll do that here, and which is this part. All of that part, I guess. New arrow. Okay, so magic spell setup. Whoa, okay. Rider's been doing that where when it reloads, it kind of freaks out and everything changes, and I feel like I may have like moved everything, but yeah. All right, spell item attribute will get used here, and target player will get used here. Okay. Now, if the arrow does collide with another player, that will be replaced, this target player. So even though, excuse me, I had to stretch and yawn. Even though you're attacking a single player, they might move. Your arrow might go to their neighbor. Who knows? You might not be very good at shooting arrows. So it might be a different player in the end that you end up hitting. Active player is the caster. So that's not the case anymore. Shooter. Oh. Yeah, so this has to be an I have stats. It's the player, but... Oh. Do we not have a clone on the I have stats? Well, we should do that. I have stats clone. Okay. Now I think what's going on down here. So the player has stats, so the player is gonna clone itself, and that should work, I think, for that. All right. Where was I? Arrow system. All right, close those other ones. So magic spell setup. Okay, and the rest should just work. Now that the magic spell is set up properly, technically, when the collision happens, it should do magic spell trigger effect, new solo player. Oh. Okay, wait. Let me just make sure. Trigger effect. Okay, so this happens where we hit something else that's not an NPC and not an actor. Make that more clear. So there's no solo player. That's like if it hits the ground or a wall or something. But if it hit a target, that's where we do the trigger somewhere. Handle hit on player. Yeah. Yeah, so handle hit on player, handle hit on actor. If we hit the actor, then we're going to play some default audio. That might change in the future too, but for now. And then we're going to do the trigger effects, passing in the player we hit. And then if it's a arrow coming at the players and it hits the player, the portraits essentially, then it's going to choose a random player. Later, that's going to be adjusted so that there's a slightly greater chance that the players on the left will get hit more often. So you put your tanks up there or whatnot. And then in some cases, a bad guy might, if a character or an enemy really hates wizards, then there's will be a slightly greater chance that it will be aiming for the wizard versus the knight. And so there will be a slightly greater chance that the wizard will get hit instead of the ones on the left because the bad guy is technically aiming at that character. Not a huge chance, just enough to be like, oh man, those, clerics really always try to smash my clerics. That's messed up. So, So that should work. Let's see if there's any errors. There might be from some of the changes we made. There's one. Okay. This is a I have stats thing probably. Yep. So I have stats. And oh my gosh. Can we make this as a player? Temp player is I have stats, a clone of the player, but as player, can we do that? Oh, we can. Who knew? I didn't until just now when I tried it. As long as there's no other errors, what we're basically saying is this is returns an I have stats, and we're casting it as a player so that temp player can be a player. All right, that's good. I didn't know you could do that. I learned something new. All right, let's just see if it works. It might. That'd be neat. Yesterday, I was very happy with myself because I spent 2 hours redoing the whole script, and then we clicked the button, and it kind of just worked. The brand new logic. So that was fun. All right, we got the fire arrow here, even though it's air magic and all this other stuff. Test fire arrow. Now we will look over. Okay, so we got the targeting thing. It's targeting the world. That's not supposed to happen, but that's okay. We'll fix that. It looks like there hovers. Yeah, that's so we gotta fix. This is the targeting circle I was talking about earlier. This red one is like your magic spell target. Shows where the magic spell is going to be aimed. The yellow one over them is their targeting. That's supposed to go away, but I'm going to have to update that logic. So it's going to happen there too. All right, let's see if this shoots. All right, it did not. Why did it not? Where's our error? A null reference. New arrow didn't happen at all. Wow, we didn't have new arrow. Why don't we have new arrow? Why don't we have the new arrow? Let's find out why. Was there any issue right before? Loop check reached 100. So that's why. We'll make this a warning. So the loop check is looking for a randomized target in that area, and I may not have passed the right information in. So we're going to add that information here so I can see speed equals speed of shot, accuracy radius equals accuracy radius, source position equals source position and target position equals target position. So now it's going to happen again. We'll try it again and we'll see what we're passing through. I'm probably just passing in the wrong information through. Look at all those yeah, those are all the attempts it tried. And yes, those were very, very much not in the right spot. So that wasn't, it's clear. Those are just a little visualization of where it's trying to shoot. All right, so I'll try again. This will come in handy.
This will come in handy.
Let's clear this out for now. We will cast it here. Oh, wait a minute. The arrows were all right there. So what's the deal? What happened? It's still, loop check reached 100. Speed of shot was 0. So that would be the issue. Speed of shot should not be 0. So where do we do that? Speed of shot. Speed of shot. Shoot. Where are we passing in for speed of shot? Arrow velocity. Arrow velocity comes from cast arrow at point. Float speed. Did I not set that? I may not have set that. This could be entirely my fault. And I'm going to do two things. One, I'm going to say for shoot, I'm going to make a change to fix this issue in the future if I make the same mistake again. So we're going to say if speed of shot is less than 15, then we're going to say debug.log warning speed of shot was will now make it 15. So it has to be a minimum of 15. That's pretty much the anything less than 15 it just doesn't work. So we'll make it 15 and we'll do a warning saying, hey, you probably forgot to assign that somewhere. That way this shouldn't happen again if in the future for whatever reason I don't assign that. That will be default to 15, but we will look at our test fire arrow and speed of shot, arrow speed 20. Okay, well that's not okay. Well, let's go back then. Whoops. Gosh darn it. Apple made that handy dandy emoji thing with the function key and I keep hitting it. I think function key never did anything before and now it does something, so it annoys me because I've never gotten used to not accidentally hitting it. Speed of shot is arrow velocity. Cast arrow at point. Spell on deck. That's the spell. Value float. Oh. Arrow speed. Yep. So that's the one thing that I would love, and not the one thing, there's more than one thing, but one thing I would like to figure out how to update for the game modules when you create custom dictionary things and you have your name strings. I would love for some way to kind of suggest or check to see if this is a valid string and sort of like give an error if it's not in the editor. I'm sure there's a way to do that, you know, since we are in the editor and I am doing a custom stuff. I'm sure there's a way to do that, but I haven't really dug into it at all, actually. So it's just something that's gets me every once in a while. All right, try again.
This will come in handy.
Ah, look at that. Try it again. Ah, and it totally hits. Ha. Ha ha. Jason, as I was saying that, I was thinking, I wonder if Jason's listening, because I bet he might know. Yeah, I don't want to. If you do know, give me a hint and I'll look it up myself and I'll try to learn it offline, I think. But essentially, we've got these dictionaries. These are just strings for the key value of these dictionary things that I've created, my custom dictionaries. And when I type in this line, get the value of the float of arrow speed right here, I had just speed. And it was really supposed to be arrow speed. And so it would be great if, as I type this in, value float or value whatever, and with the key arrow speed, if somehow I was given some feedback saying, hey, that key doesn't exist. I think I could do that in this method. Basically, if it doesn't exist, put a debug log. But I would love to do it at edit time or run coding during the coding time. Because right here has key value key. I mean, key values. That's old. Yeah, so basically I need to add in a check here and say if there's none. So that would solve for the debug log. But yeah, that's it. All right. So this is now working, I believe. Let's double check. Yep. All right. And am I getting the information I need from it? It didn't look like it's actually colliding. Oh, okay. It got hit by fire arrow sent by Ilvisar with a distance mod of 1. Did not get hit. Play generic impact. Okay. All right. So now the regular shoot's not working because we need to update that. Compile time validation versus runtime validation. So there isn't a nice way to do it without code generation. Ah, I see. Yeah. I was thinking about something like that too, but that might be too much for now. Maybe in the future. I a long time ago, there's probably YouTube videos about it somewhere. A long time ago, I was biting off way more than I could chew, and I was trying to create basically what is now the game modules, but in a system that let you set stuff up and then would export all the classes for you. So it was code generation. You would set it up inside the editor and click the button, and it would export all the classes, and then you could just do all that stuff. I was not ready for that. That was also about 5 to 6 years ago that I was working on that. And yeah, the game modules bundle. This works well. All right, so the key is the same as the variable method. Name of okay, yeah. I think I understand that, but all right. So it's two problems I noticed actually. Let me start up again and talk about those two problems. One was that the regular arrows weren't working. That needs to be fixed. We knew that. We knew that was going to have to be updated. The other thing is that the arrow doesn't seem to be destroyed. Hit terrain, not an actor. That's fine. Oops. Okay, so that time it got hit, but I don't think it disappeared. Let's see. Oh, whoops. Shot the wrong guy. Ah, knee shot. Yeah, so it went through. So the magic spell is doing its part. Solo effects on actor. That's exactly what it's supposed to be doing. So this is good because that means this is how we're going to pass damage and other stuff to the bad guy, and they're going to do their reactions and all that junk. So that part is good. Let me just make sure that's the right stuff. All right. So these are our things. Casting spell at point. To-dos. Should have set up. Cost us 2. We're close. Spell on deck is false. Pause is now 0. Those were other updates I was working on. Update magic point slider. I don't know if you noticed that the magic point slider is being reduced. That's a nice thing. I didn't have to fix that. It just still worked. So the playing clip happens when we do hit something. So I'm going to go back to arrow collision. What line did it bring me to? Did it bring me to 202? Is that where it brought me? Yeah. 202. Oh gosh. Play, hit audio. 191. Play audio, handle hit on actor. Okay. Whoops. 159. All right. So this is where it's supposed to disappear, I suppose. And do all this stuff, the turn off stuff. Destroy this. Where do we not get destroy this? Handle hit on actor. Play audio. Where's destroy this get called then? Destroy this. 3 usages. On trigger enter, and max distance reached. So it should be destroying it. On trigger enter. Let's check if it's another game object, then destroy this. So if we hit a target, then we destroy it. Otherwise, we destroy it. Either way, we should be destroying it. And you know what? I bet it's because I forgot to assign the various particles. Let's see. So this is going to be on the object itself. So we can go to our prefabs for our fire arrow. And oh yeah, we do have all this stuff to turn off. Let me just make sure that we're got it set properly. Yep. And the light to turn off too. All right, so that should work. Well, why wasn't it? Let's see. Is there any returns here? No. Collided equals true. Spawn impact particle. Turn off particles. Turn off lights. Move those up, I guess. I do want to have a small impact particle for the fire arrow. Not a huge one, just a small little poof. The most complicated system I've implemented in my RPG so far. Probably the ones that I've replaced and refactored. That's a bad answer. I mean, it's a fine answer. It's a true answer probably because I tend to make things more complicated and then simplify them later. You know, like I'll write something, or I mean, even this actions method was 1,000, 300, 400, 500, 600. Oh my gosh, 1,700 lines. So this action system is complicated, and I actually tried to refactor this recently in fits and starts, slowly making it better. But then I add more things: cast spell at point, cast arrow at point. So I think in general, I don't know for sure which one has been the most complicated. Um, I mean, you could argue that the game modules bundle itself is the most complicated. It's certainly a super complicated system, but it's not like a game system in the sense of like an action, like casting a spell is a game system versus the data management of what the spell does. I guess it's a system, but not a game system. So if you're talking about game systems, then I don't know. Refactoring actually isn't so complicated. Once it works, refactoring is fairly easy, and oftentimes it comes very naturally, right? Oftentimes I find that, I don't know if you find this too, but oftentimes I find that once I understand a system and as I'm managing it or adding something to it, I realize, oh, I can do this differently now, or I can move this over here. I've got a Legend Utilities class that, I've moved stuff over here that I realized, oh, this doesn't have to be where it was, like distance. It's not a huge deal, but I kept doing, gain the magnitude. And I was like, well, let me just move distance over. And then direction. The direction, I was doing that with a couple things. And I was like, well, directions is the same code over and over. So I moved the direction over. Look rotation, same deal. So I as part of the refactoring process, or really just the coding process, I find that oftentimes things will just kind of naturally want to be refactored and be made simpler. If that makes sense. So maybe it's the turn off renderer when hit. Maybe that's what we need to make sure we enable that. Yeah, I think once a system works, I then try to make it more complicated by adding features. And that's the process at which I start realizing where it can become less complicated. Maybe. Yeah, I've got turn off renderer on hit. Well, let me do it frame by frame.
This will come in handy.
Oops. Okay, so we're going to go that and quickly pop. Oh, shoot, I wasn't quick enough. All right, well, let me get further away. How about that? If I get further away, then I don't have to be as quick. Oh, gosh. That might be too far away now. Let's see. I wasn't quick enough. Oh, I can use the hotkey. What is it? Oh, wrong hotkey. Which one's pause? Which is the hotkey for pause? Maybe Command Shift P. Nope. Oh, it was. But I have an issue. And it's my own doing. Holly count. Let me fix that. Where is the... Here it is. See, I always accidentally hit the function key. All right, that's an old script. Yep, I agree. That's what they say. What is it? Make it work, then make it good. Working first, and then after that, fix it up. All right, so now I'll use the keyboard to pause it. Hi, Nicholas. I am, when I can, when it's not the work day, when I'm not too tired. I don't stream the entire development. I do a lot outside of the streams, but
This will come in handy.
yes, I find it's helpful and fun to do that. All right, here we go. Space. Okay. Hopefully this hits. In fact, I'm going to kind of help it along. It looks like it might go over, so I'm going to move this right here. And up here, just so it definitely hits. And we're going to go frame by frame. The trail looks like it's... Huh, interesting. So where is our fire arrow now? Okay, so it did turn off its renderer. Look at the headshot. Oh, it's the trail that keeps going. Okay. So these did turn off. It's that trail that didn't turn off. Why not? Oh, because it's a trail renderer. Renderer. That's why. All right. I don't even like that trail renderer anyways. So I say get rid of it. So we have a particle renderer there, and we can just use that instead. All right, perfect. Try again. Just want to make sure that it works. It looks right. It is a very ambitious project. It's too ambitious. One of the first things that folks will say is don't make an MMORPG. So I'm like, all right, I'm not going to make an MMORPG. I'm not that guy. And then the second thing they say is don't make an RPG. It's totally true. RPGs are much more complicated. Does it look like the trail's going off the wrong direction? I think it was. Oh no, it was going up. Oops. All right, good. That seems to be working right. The art bundle or the RPG spawn the art? That is a good question. So a little bit of both. So I made another game back in the day. I'm taking aside and show this. TheBarbarianGame.com, which, well, just goes to Infinity PBR. But the Barbarian game. So I made this game a long time ago, all with Asset Store art. It's on iOS only. I never released it on Steam. I probably should have. And when Unity went Unity 5, the whole project was so broken after that because of the lack of Unity script. Because this was all done in Unity script, and I was not very good at anything back then. I mean, the game worked perfectly fine. It crashed every once in a while, but not too often. But during this process, I decided I wanted more control over the art. Like, the game's called The Barbarian because I downloaded a package called Barbarians. I wanted customizable characters, but at the time there was basically no customizable characters on the Asset Store. Now there are, mine, and not much else still. But it was the only one that had modular wardrobe. So I was like, okay, well, at least I can get something in. And I changed the game itself, actually, so it was no longer about how I want it to be. But in that process, I wanted more control. So as I was making this, I also started publishing content and replacing the bad guys with my own characters. Yeah, and the game came out and never made much money. I think it makes an average of $5 a week now. I'll take it. But it might even be less than that. There's some weeks now where it gets $0. Last week, for some reason, it made $15. I don't know why, but some weeks it makes $0. Yeah, so I made the barbarian, and that started that. And this game, technically, I've been working on this game for 5 or 6 years. It's just I have a day job in those past 5 years, and so it has not always been something I have time to work on. So these days, unfortunately or fortunately, however you want to look at it, I've got a lot more time. Still the day job, but I have a lot more time otherwise, and so I've been working on it more. And that is that. So I'm still doing the art. I need to find new artists, by the way, not to replace my current artists. I like them. I don't want to replace them, but to get more artists because I need to move faster on the art, essentially. Got a lot of new stuff in the pipeline is the thing. A ton of characters, a good number of characters that are just sitting there waiting to be animated or rigged or stuff like that. Environment packs that are just really outright cool. Like, I mean, even these blocks are actually from an unreleased environment pack. And these blocks do a cool thing. I think this one's set up for it. But if you watch it as I move it, see how the texture's not moving? It's because I create a nice shader that uses a triplanar and all this other stuff so that as you grow it and shrink it, it kind of still looks good. See that? So even if you have a giant block and you're really close to it, it's the same as a small block. The edges get a little bit different. So it's not, you can't go too crazy with it, but yeah. So anyways, we got some great stuff coming out with all that, towers and all this other stuff, but I need more time and stuff. So that's the story. That's the long story there. And I really like making the game is the thing too. All right, let's cause an error by shooting an arrow. And we still need to do the hover fix, but we'll fix that after we fix the other arrow shooting. All right. So, null reference. It's missing everything really, but so in this case, we did not even get whether this is a projectile. I see. So we didn't set up our to do set up a magic spell component. Ha 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 ha. Yep. The environment stuff, I like that, the awesome, any environment stuff, but medieval town environment, I don't know if you've seen it, but I'll do another aside. So if you go to infinitypbr.com and click on the see all assets, you get all of our assets, and that town package is, unfortunately, I'm not sure. I mean, you can see here that it's not in, this is ranked by popularity, it's not even on the first page. So for whatever reason, it's not even on the second page. Did I miss it? Wait a minute. Yeah. This is on the fourth page. I don't know why. It sold well, and then it stopped selling well. It's got good reviews. It's got great video, I think. A good video that demonstrates the demo scene and how it looks. I think I need to make new videos or something about this one because and if anyone has some thoughts on why it's not selling, let me know. Because it just doesn't sell. Like, not even once a month guaranteed. Like, there are months where it doesn't sell a single time. Oh God. Now they're sorting it by publish date. I wonder if that has something to do with it. Just need to make new versions all the time now. Used to be popularity. Yeah, so it's no longer in these top lists here, in the top pages here, because it's not selling and it has to sell in order to get up here. So I do not understand. I think the price is right. $65 seems cheap. It's better than the Kit Bash stuff, which is $200. So I don't know. I think I need to do more. I think what I really need to do, gosh, what the heck? Where is it? There's a fair number, but a lot of them aren't very good. I don't know why the medieval well, this doesn't sell. So I don't know why it's here, because I don't think this is sold at all. for $7. There's other ones, but they're all different styles and stuff. Is the thing. Yeah, this has just gotten buried now. I don't know why. I don't know why. I don't think it's priced too high, but yeah. So I think it's more of an exposure thing, is my guess. Anyways, that needs some updates too. I want to add some updates to that too. So that'll help probably. Yeah, could be. I also need to showcase it here more. I don't showcase it in this scene yet. So while I'm, I will eventually, but for now I've been doing this other stuff. All right, let's fix this. So we need to set up the magic spell stuff. So this is in the regular shoot, right? Okay, so this is the regular shoot. Let's just double check everything. We have our fire arrow has an arrow collision and a magic spell and arrow flight. Regular arrow has the same things. Okay. So essentially, instead of shooting, what we should be doing is saying cast arrow. Recently updated. It depends on what you're looking for. I mean, if you're just looking for the most popular stuff, popularity is a good sort. If you're looking for the latest stuff, then of course by new, then you'd get the latest stuff, but you'd probably get a whole lot of just crap too, because a lot of the new stuff just isn't that good. And then if you want recently updated, that'll show you popular things that are being updated too, as well as new stuff. I really think there needs to be a better mix, like a magic mix, a magic sort that includes a little bit of everything. But that's just me. And also, if you're working on fantasy projects, show fantasy stuff at the top. But, all right, so instead of shoot, I think we should migrate shoot to be essentially, not shoot here, actually. Yeah, because we do this. We need to migrate this to be this one to use cast arrow. So this only has one use, so that should be easy. Try to attack enemy. So instead of shoot, we're going to do cast arrow at point. This is where we're going to need to get a lot of stuff here. Okay, we need our position. This is our player position, right? Oh no, it's this arrow system spawn, arrow spawn transform position. Okay. All right, so let's go back here. All right, so arrow system, arrow transform dot position. Target position is going to be our enemy's position, but this is really going to be their target, their arrow target. So I swear I probably get this somewhere, but so we don't need this outside of this method or this area of the method. So var arrow target equals enemy dot get component arrow target arrow target actor target. That's what we're looking for. Is it? What are we looking for? Yeah. Okay, and we should change this to try get. If not that. Okay, and return. Oops. Return false. All right, so that shouldn't happen, but you never know. In-world spell object. So this is going to be, we need to fix that. Try to attack enemy. This is going to be on our active player's arrow, but for now, we can just going to hard code it. So I may have already hard coded it. No, it doesn't look like I did. So public game object arrow prefab. So pass our arrow prefab. Let me pass this stuff over because this is where we had a lot of the info that we're really passing through. So, okay. Active player bow velocity. Okay. You can see. Oh, I already had a prefab arrow. Ha! All right, we'll fix that. We have to double check some stuff here. Accuracy range. We still need to pass the damage into the magic spell too. This isn't right. We don't have our range in this method. Shoot. See, this method is, or this class is so long that I can't even find my errors. I think they're in here. There we go. What, Dustin? That guy? But yeah, why do you have an extra thumb? Thank you, Dustin. If you do like it, don't forget to leave a nice positive 5-star rating and review. And if you think that there should be something changed or added, let me know. Always all ears for stuff like that. All right, so let me paste this in here. Bow accuracy value. That's what I'm looking for here. And pass in our min and max. And the target will be my enemy dot enemy dot get component actor actor dot player. This needs the player as well. All right. Target player. Yeah, so that's going to do maths on their speeds and stuff. Okay. So this is also going to be that. So I'm going to put the target player up here. So if not enemy try get component out actor debug.log error enemy.name, if I can spell, does not have an actor component. All right, and return false. Otherwise, var target player equals actor.player. And then we can pass in target player here. There we go. So that solves all of those. So technically, cast arrow at point will pass in all this stuff. And should technically set up the damage stuff. Well, we haven't set up the damage yet, but yeah, the bonus stuff. Sometimes I think my stuff is overly complicated and I scare people. Like, I'm thinking about brand new users and people who are really kind of maybe just starting out. There's really no difference between my stuff and other stuff, but I've gotten messages from people. This is a simplified version of it, but you know, I love your stuff, but I can't use it because I'm working on a mobile game, or I'm working on a VR game, or I'm working on a whatever game, and they think that my stuff is somehow more complicated because it looks high fidelity, or because there's a lot of options. There's blend shapes and all this other stuff. And while technically it could be more complicated if you use all that, you don't have to. And I think sometimes I overtly complicate things for people by making them too much stuff. Too much good stuff. All right, null reference. That's good. Where arrow system is missing, or something's missing. What's missing? This is in cast arrow at point. Huh. Well, one of these is missing. Let's figure it out, I guess. I really wish the null reference would give me more details about... Does it give me more details? Object reference. Cast arrow point. No, it just gives me the whole thing. It doesn't tell me which one of these is missing. Is it arrow system that's missing? I don't think so. Debug.log arrow system. So we're going to check for arrow system. We're going to check for in-world spell object, and we're going to check for active player and spell on deck and solo target player. Okay. Oops. So one of these should spit out an error, and that's the one we're missing. I don't think it does. It means one of them. It just says something in this is return a null reference. exception. I have a feeling it might be the arrow prefab because I didn't check to make sure that that was actually populated. But let's see. God damn it. It was none of them. Spell on deck equals blank, though. So that could be the issue. Active players, player. That's correct. Arrow systems, arrow systems. So spell on deck is really, that shouldn't be blank. I wouldn't think, because that's a game item attribute. So maybe there is no spell on deck. That's right. There is no spell on deck because we're doing the bow. So, okay. It makes all sense now. So the spell on deck is a magic spell. Obviously, we're shooting a regular bow. We don't have a magic spell. A spell on deck would look like these. But instead, we're going to use this as our spell on deck. Which is similar to this. So we're going to populate it real quick. So it's going to be our arrow. We don't have a portrait particle. So none there. Target particle is going to be arrow target particle. No party particle. Cost is 0. Range is well, I'm not sure. We're going to have to figure that one out. Condition is going to be damage arrow. It is not that. It is a projectile. It is an arrow. Arrow speed will default to 15. Can cast on player? No. Targets player and targets the actor? Yes. Targets the ground? No. Alright, no area of effect. So that should be set up there. And now, I think what we need is to get this from the bow that is being equipped. Yeah, that's what we're gonna have to. We're gonna have to do some coding as well. So if we have our bow, short bow is going to have dictionaries. Let's see. All right, we're gonna add a new one here. So manage item objects for our bow. We will add a dictionary called actually, in the future, I might have different arrows. Excuse me. Or maybe, because there might be like fire arrows and ice arrows. So sorry I didn't mute that cough. It was just got me and I didn't have time to push the button. We're going to have fire arrows, ice arrows, all sorts of different arrows. And that's going to have to live on, or it's going to have to override something. So it is best to put it on the bow for now. And if there's an item attribute like short bow of fire, then that would have its own arrow on it, and that would override the bow. Yeah, so we'll do this. So we'll do arrow object, and it's going to be a prefab. And then when we're on the short bow, our arrow object is going to be arrow 001. Yes, the prefab. All right. So, how are we going to spell on deck? Let's see. We don't have a spell on deck. So we don't have an item attribute. We need to do that too. I think this is a condition. The item attribute we're passing is this. And this is, yeah. I guess, yeah. Okay. So actually we need the prefabs there. So we need the test arrow. This is going to be, yeah. This is going to be, okay. So going back, it's not actually a game object, arrow object. So it's not going to be, it's actually going to be the arrow item attribute, or arrow. We'll just call it arrow. We'll make it an item attribute, not a prefab. And so we'll update that here on our bow. Where's the bow? Short bow. So we're going to test arrow. So the short bow is going to shoot the test arrow. And if this were a short bow of fire will also have a thing, and I'll eventually update the code to check for that. And therefore, yeah. All right, so this is our item attribute that we're going to pass through. So how are we going to pass that through? We don't have a spell on deck. Or can we have a spell on deck? Actually, this is the spell on deck. This is the spell on deck. So let me be more clear here. Arrow spell on deck. I'm going to make that super explicit so I don't forget. So this is the spell on deck, which has all the information we need. The bow now has on it the arrow spell on deck of that. So that's the spell on deck. And before we do cast at point, we're going to put the spell on deck, and we're going to say spell on deck equals new game item attribute, and we're going to pass in the active player, and we'll make a property for this, bow spell on deck. And the new owner, I don't think we really need this, but we will say active player is the new owner. All right, so if we look at these, bow spell on deck is going to be has equipped bow. If so, it's going to return the equipped bow, get dictionaries value. See, there's two ways of getting things. Value item attribute arrow spell on deck. Otherwise, it will return default or null or none of that at all. Oh, it's because I have item attribute. All right. There we go. Bow spell on deck. All right. That should work. It might throw an error if it's null, but it can't be a null. So, all right. So now we have spell on deck, and now when we cast arrow on point, it will pull from that spell on deck. Let's see if it works. So this is an example of a complicated system. I'm doing mental gymnastics a little bit around it, but I think it's going to go through another round of refactoring at some point because there's still more options I want to add. And in that process of adding options, I'm probably going to find ways of making it simpler. But even now, there we go, cutting out a is it attacking the right one? Whoops. Should be attacking this one. Wow. She's just really not accurate. Okay. There we go. All right, so it got hit by a test arrow. All right. So it might feel like we took a step back because it used to be throwing damage on them and they would react and all that stuff, but that's okay. Look at all that. She's being plastered with arrows. So you can see the range get worse. She's not very good from this far away. All right. That'd be a good way to test the actual percentage of chance of hitting. Just spam this for a lot. Oops, spam that a lot and see how many actually hit. And just do the math. 3 minutes of this will give you a really, really good, accurate result. All right, so there's a lot that isn't going on, but hey, it's working. It seems to be disappearing. We got the trail is the issue. That the trail needs to be removed from this as well because the trail still happens. So let me fix that because I'm over trail renderers. I don't like them. I've never really liked them that much actually. All right. So in my prefabs, projectiles, trail, arrow, open that, arrow trail, open that, trail renderer, remove that, save it, done, son. All right. So everything else did look like it was being turned off appropriately. All right. Next. So one thing I noticed was that the character was not doing its pause afterwards. Oops. There we go. This pause, recovery time. So that needs to happen. And we need to do the bow audio too. But only if it's a physical bow. So let me do cast arrow at point. So we're going to add one more thing here, and this is going to be bool used bow equals false. And then for our other thing here where we try to attack here, we're going to say, yes, we used a bow. Okay, and then on our cast arrow at point, before we do this, we're going to say, if used bow, then play bow audio, and then do our recovery time 1.1f. This is hard code right now, so debug.log, a reminder of myself to do update recovery time. Some spells will take more recovery time some than others, and as you get better at certain things, your recovery time will be less. So maybe at the beginning it takes you, a 1 in-game minute to recover from shooting a bow, and at Grandmaster level it only takes you 30 seconds or something, whatever it might be. Okay, so that means now the active players are indeed switching because they have to recover. So we can't spam it anymore.
This will come in handy. This will come in handy.
And see. So there we go. Perfect. All right, so next, I think, is that... Are we passing everything properly? I don't know. I think we're oh, the hover. That's what we need to work on. Because right now this should be... Oh, so this hover is working fine. That was my way of not... Oop, okay. Let's see. All right, so... Should set hover enemy spell. So this is our actions mouse hover. So this is one of my attempts to make the actions class smaller by moving the mouse hover to its own class, which made sense. So where was that? Mouse hover raycast spell. Why do we get to here? All right, so has spell on deck and in range. How do we get there? All right, so handle, mouse hover, raycast on enemies. So we're looking for an enemy. So first we check for casting. And then if we don't do that, then we will figure out what we're in range for. If there's melee or range or nothing. Okay, so this is basically saying has spell on deck and in range for active and distance. Okay, let's find out. Oh, here it is. So if we don't have spell on deck, then and if we're spell on deck range is less than the distance to the enemy. So yeah, so for a spell on deck, range matters, whereas arrows, the actual range, I just need to make sure that range is always less than the actual range would be. Although, yeah, we need to fix this because there could be situations where that doesn't work. So let's see. Somewhere there should be another. There's not another bit. Active player. Player can shoot and in range. This is what we're looking for, I think. Arrow system can shoot from range. Okay. Active player bow velocity. So I can make a version of this where we pass them. So we have the distance and then the float arrow velocity. And I will pass in that here. And we'll make this in spell bow range. Because melee distance is going to be 0. Distance is definitely going to be greater than 0. I guess it doesn't have to be, but it probably will be. So can shoot from range. So okay, that's what we're really doing. Can shoot from range. And okay. Now, where was I using that? Okay. So we're going to say if we need distance to enemy and spell on deck dot dictionaries dot value float arrow speed return false. So if we are not in spell bow range, then we'll return false. Okay. And then we will change the cursor. Active hover. Range. Mouse hover raycast spell. Distance to enemy. Okay. So that's the next step. Okay, so we get our target particle. Hey, look, I even made a dictionaries thing. Property for that. Not like it matters. It's all of that, but whatever. Sometimes I go overboard with the properties. Target particle is that. If it's null, we return. Set with the target particle. Min size, max size, that needs to be changed, right? All of this needs to be changed for this one. What are we passing through in the other one? This is what, okay, that's easy to see. So active harmony distance to enemy. Melee distance is actually going to be 0. We'll have to make sure that that doesn't cause a problem. It might. Min size and max size. Where do we do that for the other ones? We had min and max, right? Somewhere. Cast arrow at point, min target size, max target size. Cast spell at point. Oh, we're just hardcoding 1 and 2. I thought we changed that. Didn't we change that? All right, let's fix this now. So we're going to change this to be value float, min target size and max target size. And this is on the spell that has arrow speed. Item objects. No, item attributes. Yep, so we're going to do min target size and max target size. Both of these are going to be floats. And min target size, we're going to put these up by arrow speed. Keep it organized like that. All right, and then my inspector arrow. No, my inspector for the arrow spell, essentially. Min is going to be 1 and 2, but this is where we're going to change it. Okay, that's the important bit. That's right. So we have that. It's good that we did this, but we need to update that. So I'm gonna cast arrow at point. The other usage is here. Okay, so we're passing this appropriately. Okay, good. Now, where was I that I was mouse over? This is where we're. All right, mouse over raycast spell. So we can do spell on deck dictionaries, max target size and min target size. All right. Accuracy value is, what are we passing through for accuracy value for the spell? accuracy value. Range. Okay, we're passing in range. Okay. All right, let's see if that works. And, you know, I'm going to just change this slightly. I say magic arrow target particle. And color over lifetime. I don't think that was actually doing anything, but let me just open this up and see. Does this do anything? No, it's not affecting. Start colors not being affected. Color over lifetime is not being affected. Why not? I don't know. It's weird. It's like only the opacity is mattering or something. But just to make this a little bit different, yeah, what is going on here? It's doing 1 every second. Lifetime is 1. Color over lifetime, it should be fading in and out unless this is set to the wrong thing. Ah, it's a standard shader, that's why. Where's my particles? No. The old school way of doing it. All right. There we go. Now this should work properly. All right, good. So we'll make this opacity start at 0. All right, so start lifetime will be 2. And size, don't change the size, just do that. And for the rotation, what if we do between 2 constants? No. So we'll keep it rotating. And then let's do a size over lifetime, but instead of this, make it like this. And we will do 2 over time. Now I'm just playing around, essentially. It doesn't really matter. I'm going to change this later anyways. All right, we'll save that. Go back. And I need to add that to my spell, I believe. Or a fire arrow one. Yep. Magic arrow target particle. All right. Was that everything? We'll see. We'll see. I don't know. Maybe it was everything. Maybe it wasn't. I think there's still an issue with the hover target not being removed for whatever reason. So this is going to look different now because I changed stuff. All right. Good. It's green. That was my original intent. All right. That's fine. And it grows and shrinks as expected. Yep. Oops. So you can see it get bigger as I get further away. And then you got to be really far off in your shots. All right. Cast.
This will come in handy.
All right, so so there's a couple things. First of all, I should not be able to do that. So that's a bug. I don't. I mean, I guess it's fine to allow it, but second of all, I don't see it hovering at all. There's no target I can see at all. But let's see if we put the white one or the arrow one. Where does the target show up? Target particle, arrow target. I don't know where it shows up, but you can see it in the script showing up right here. So let's see if that happens when we do this. Okay, so it is showing up, but it's not being removed. Well, that's helpful now because we can search for it. Magic arrow target particle. Where is it? It's down here. Okay, why isn't it showing up? So it's there. Its scale is 0. Why is its scale 0? Probably because of our math. Set hover enemy. Scale. So the scale actually happens, I think, on this. Yes, set target size. So the size is here, and this is where it gets set. Target particle size is arrow system target size. And we need to make sure all of this is being passed through properly. So on our target size, since that's that, I'm going to do that here then. So we will debug.log, and we will say, so melee distance may be the issue here actually. Let's look at what the algorithm is. Get target particle size, and I should remove this. Oops, target size, get particle size. So if these are equal, then we return the max size. In other words, there's no modification. Earlier I did say that min distance might be an issue. We'll see. Okay, so max distance equals accuracy range minus the minimum distance. If minimum distance is 0, then max distance is the accuracy range, which is, as we said in my note earlier, it's the max distance at which the player is least accurate. Size multiplier is the distance. That's the distance to the actual target minus the minimum distance, again minus 0, divided by the max distance, and the curve multiplier. And then we lerp between the minimum size with the multiplier. Okay, so this should be fine. My guess is one of these or all of these are not coming in properly, so we're going to do that. Debug.log, and we'll just spit these out. So we need accuracy range, min, distance. Okay. I think I did one too many. And curve should be fine, but we'll see. All right. We're going to get a whole lot of console spamming. Wow, my friends are doing the world's largest bounce park today. Crazy. Oh, they're doing it at 7 p.m. so that to avoid the COVID. They already had it like a couple weeks ago, unfortunately. They got it at school in the last week of school or something like that. Silly. But the world's largest bounce house seems like the world's best place to get COVID. I mean, besides many other places like airplanes and such. All right, here we go. We are going to get our inventory. We're going to cast our spell, and we are going to see what our console spams out. All right, so all right, min size and max size aren't being passed. That's the issue, essentially. So min size, max size, target particle size happens on target size, but and target size happens in few places. Projectile cast at shoot, target size. So it's this one that we're looking for, and it is not passing these correctly. Is there a setup for this? There is a setup for this. It only gets used once, set hover enemy. And this is where we need to fix it, because if we keep going back to this use case. Aha, this is the difference. So min size, max size here is probably, is it? No, it's not. Did I set it properly on the fire arrow? I don't think so. Let's find out. Nope. And so we will do one other thing here. If min size equals 0, then equals 1. To avoid that, we'll say less than or equal to 0. And we'll do the same to max size. And one more check. If the max is less than the min size, then max size equals min size. Whoops. There we go. All right, so that should solve for that issue in the future. We'll make it just 1 if that's 0. Maybe it will work now. Let's see.
This will come in handy.
Look at that. It totally did. But it's not going away. Why is it not going away? I don't know why it's not going away. But it's not. And it's not going away because, let's see, where's destroy this? If the actor is not in hover range, then we return. Now, actor target gets switched to false every single frame. actor target is hover range equals false, and reset bools happens every single frame if its pause level is greater than 1. So it should reset, and then yeah, let me just look at the character to see if it's where it's going wrong. Let's see. So it's this one. We see that we are visible. We are, I mean, the visible, because the visible script checks the scene view too for some reason. So let's see. So in this regard, we are in hover, we are out. In, out. Okay, forecast.
This will come in handy.
In, not out. Interesting. Why is it still thinking that we are in hover range? Maybe that's why. Active hover enemy. I mean, that should change. Let's see, if in range equals 2 and we have a target, then okay, then hover range equals true. That's how it gets set for the regular arrow. But for the spells, it gets hijacked by this. And this sets it here. And if we're not in range, then it should go away, and they should be not set to true at all. But let's see. We'll debug.log will set is hover range to true, and see if that's where it's getting spat out. All right, so let's get the spell back on deck.
This will come in handy.
I'm going to just clear my console. We'll set hover range true, and then it stops doing it. Yet somehow, all right, so it's not here. It's not there. So where is it then? I don't think it's there. Because we have a spell on deck. Oh. I mean, I guess it could be there. Because this says has spell on deck and in range. But there's no active hover enemy. Huh. Yeah, because if we don't hit an enemy, then nothing happens at all. And that goes to 0. All right. So my guess is that it's not happening here either. It must be happening somewhere else. I just don't understand why. I just don't see why it's not resetting. I mean, it resets every frame, so it needs a constant input to change it to 1. Otherwise, it will reset. That's just the way it's set up, so that we wouldn't run into these issues unless something's actively saying don't reset, or just constantly
this will come in handy.
Saying it to 1 in late update. So is hover range, and then not is hover range. Okay. Yeah, so it's still not, it doesn't, yeah, I'm not sure. We have a spell and in range, and then it does that, and then it doesn't anymore have a spell and in range, but it still keeps going. So neither of these are activating it outside of properness. They're both perfectly fine. So somewhere else must be saying this or something. Let me do another old trick. Figure there's got to be a way to do this in Writer, but I have not figured out how to search for a bit of code in Writer. Like if I do this, search here. Nothing found. So I'm not sure. Okay, this helps. I can do this. So, usages. Okay. Okay. Projectile target, destroy this. That's why it's not being destroyed, because it's saying is hover range is true. Those are the two that we just looked at. So that's so weird. So this is the declaration, or not the, yeah. Yeah, and then this is where it gets reset. Oh, pause level. When a spell is on deck, pause level is now 2. I made that change yesterday. Pause levels are, each one is more paused, where 0 is not paused. 1 is in turn-based combat, meaning you can't move, and all the actors will act differently. 2 means a spell is on deck, and nothing is supposed to happen until that spell is no longer on deck. And before, spell on deck was ended up as 1, which was not the correct place for it to be, I think. So I changed it.
This will come in handy.
There we go. Now the other thing to think of here is, do I want this to be cast at the world? I don't think I do. Why is it being cast at the world? Target's world. So target's world is off. So it shouldn't be showing that. Target's world. Try to cast spell at mouse click. See, if we don't target world, so if it's a projectile, wait, if it's not a projectile and we can't target the world, then we can't do a mouse click. The other option, though, is if it is a projectile and it doesn't, right, wait. Target's world, this is why I need fancy notes. Target's world means you can shoot it at the world. If you can't shoot at the world, then it has to be targeting either the actor or the player, and that's the only thing it can target. So I think this is actually just needs to be if it targets world. If it doesn't target world, then we return. And then the other thing will be the preview sphere, that little thing. I'm not sure. I can't remember where that lives, what script that lives in. Whether it lives here or somewhere else. Projectile, target particle. No, mouse, hover, recast. Item, enemy. Spawn deck and in range. Yeah, so I don't think it's there. Let's see. We have the target particle actions. Where's my actions? Default target particle. There we go. Spell on deck world target. This is the one. So, handle particle. So if there's no spell on deck, we return false. So if we're able to handle it, then we won't destroy it, essentially. All right. If this doesn't target an actor, and it doesn't target the world, I see. I think I see. Okay, so if it is a projectile, but it doesn't target the world, but that doesn't work because we might be over. Well, I guess, yeah, and that could make sense because I don't really want to show that if there's a target. So if it is a projectile, but it doesn't target the world, then we won't show that preview. When we do target an actor, though, it will show the other preview. Hmm. 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 I guess what we should do instead is do this. If it doesn't target the world, and if it does target an actor, and if actions dot has or hover active hover enemy equals null, then return false. All right, so this is basically saying if we don't target the world, but we do target an actor, and there is no active hover enemy, then we must return. Let's see if that works. All right, 4, 4, 4, 4. Oops.
This will come in handy.
Okay. All right. Now it's not showing up at all. I mean, it's not the worst because we do have this, which is a good one. But if there was a AOE, then we'd want to show that somehow. And that other preview will be different for every spell too. There might be different previews. So this should be showing when it's unless it destroys it once, and then that's it. When does it get spawned? Handle particle. Oh yeah, we create particle and then position it. I see. Okay, so doesn't target the world. It does target an actor. And there's no actor to look at. Then we return. But otherwise, it should go through as it was before. A mystery.
This will come in handy.
It's returning false. Does my actions does not have active hover enemy? Oh, well, why the heck not? Active hover enemy. Where does this get assigned? Nowhere? Is this the only place it's used? Well, that would explain that. Active hover enemy. Ah. I see. I see. Okay, let's make this. We'll remove both of those and then fix this. Because we might want this stored there so that it can be seen by other things more easily. All right, let's see if that fixes it. Try 5,854. Doesn't seem to fix it. It has the enemy then. Oh, no, it's there. I see it. It's that red thing. Oh, that was interesting, though. Did you see that issue? That was a little bit of a bug. So if I have this set right there, and I cast it, it switches, but it doesn't switch the target until I come off and go back on. So that's something to fix. Okay, but that's good. We're at a good spot. We have to do next this part. This is where we actually pass all the information through. We have, oh, come on, Ryder. We have the attacker or caster, whoever casts the damage-causing thing. We have the data about it. We have a distance mod in case there's a stuff like a range damage by distance or something. And yeah, and that, so essentially we can now technically pass all the data through. Oh, but we will need to set up the correct damage values for the bow and arrow and ensure we pass that through. So that will be the next step. But I have to go to the bathroom. I have to pee. It's been 2 hours. It's been 2.5 hours. And it's time to take a break. It's time to go for a walk. And all that. So I'm going to do this after my walk. I'm going to come back and probably work on this next, or maybe I'll fix that other bug. We'll see. I do have another stream at 6 o'clock. So if you happen to recently have just stumbled across me on the YouTube, if you go to infinitybr.com, you can see this fancy little YouTube icon right here, and that'll take you to my YouTube, and you can see that I have another one at 6 p.m. tonight. Pacific time. That is in 6 hours. Magic spells or something else. We'll see. It depends on how far I get on this stuff. So, Dustin, again, thank you for your support of the work via the asset store. Everyone else, if you do want to support Infinity PBR, click the See All Assets. That way, if you buy anything from the asset store, I get a small cutback from the affiliate program. But this is all my stuff. And let's see if the... look at that. So this is evidence of the power of a single purchase, is that now this was on page 4 before, one purchase, and now it's on page 1. It also shows how little my stuff actually sells. So for people who think that I'm rolling in the cash, you might be wrong. Although I would love to be rolling in a little bit more cash so I could pay more people and maybe buy a house one day, but c'est la vie. Instead, I'll just be happy making games, and that's fine with me. But now 1, and so if we go to the, let's just see, because it was on page 7 before on the fantasy environments. Let's see if this has updated. Oh, and now it defaults to publish date. Alright, so by popularity. Have you noticed that more and more publishers are putting borders and stuff on their thing in order to get spotted? Like, I don't know, for me, this one, which is something I actually want to look at, gets hidden from the others. It looks almost like the fade out when I've already bought something. It's too dark. Anyways, okay, that wasn't what we're looking at. Oh, and now it's on page 2. So it went from page 7 to page 2 from one purchase. Isn't that crazy? And I know there's a bump, by the way, when you write a review. There's always a bump, and then also just people seeing lots of 5 stars always helps, especially since, you know, for those who look at those things, you might be like, oh, well, that only has 8. This one has 75, and you look at it and you think, oh, well, this has 75. It must be better. Is it better? I don't know. You can be the judge of that. But I think this one also was released in a long time ago, 2015. So it's had more time to get 75 reviews. And the last one was 2 years ago. So you can be the judge on whether or not the review system is showing the right reviews. I wanted to see this. This was pretty cool looking, though. Viking Village Environment Mega Pack. That's good SEO. I don't like the... Yeah, people should use YouTube instead of uploading a video. But it looks kind of cool. I do often wonder, like, the separation between props and environment. Like, with the tower package we're working on, it's going to be just towers. And then the props will be from other packs, because I'm like, towers can be anything. And of course, there's like wizard alchemy props and other things, but we're going to separate the two out. That's cool. That's a lot going on there. I wish it had audio. Oh, it does have audio. Oh, but that might be under copyright, so we can't stream that. Maybe the other one I played will give a copyright infringement. Oh well, anyways, you get the point. One sale helped out a lot, so thank you for that. It's amazing how that works. Right? All right, have a great day, everybody. I hope to see you again later today. I don't know, YouTube recently has been showing me weird things. It shows me a lot of the Daily Dose of Internet because I watch that, but other things, I guess I watch Vice from time to time. Anyways, it shows some weird suggestions sometimes. And with that, I will go for a walk, and I will see y'all later. Thanks.